Imagina esto. Estás doblado de dolor en una sala de emergencia saturada. El reloj avanza lento. Cada minuto es una tortura y, aún así, el médico te despacha con un tranquilo, solo es reflujo ácido. Algo dentro de ti grita que no es eso, pero nadie escucha. ¿Qué haces cuando la medicina falla? Un hombre de 49 años lo descubrió. Preguntó a Grok. Y esa decisión le salvó la vida. No es ciencia ficción. Es 2025. Y podría ser el momento exacto donde la medicina cambió para siempre. La historia empieza con un simple malestar que explotó en una pesadilla. Nuestro protagonista, lo llamaremos Alex, llegó al hospital con un dolor abdominal tan feroz que caminaba encorvado, como si algo dentro se desgarrara. Fiebre, náuseas, vómitos, incapacidad para comer, síntomas de manual, diagnóstico real, gases, una pastilla y a casa. 24 horas después, Alex estaba empapado en sudor frío, temblando y sintiendo que algo dentro de él estaba a punto de romperse. La casa en silencio, el dolor gritando. Fue entonces cuando hizo lo impensable. Abrió Grok, la IA de DJI, y escribió cada síntoma con la desesperación de quien suplica ayuda a un desconocido. La respuesta llegó en segundos. Directa, implacable. Posible úlcera perforada o apendicitis atípica. Vuelve al hospital de inmediato y exige un ATC. Esto podría ser una emergencia quirúrgica. Alex copió el razonamiento palabra por palabra, respiró hondo y regresó a urgencias dispuesto a pelear por su vida. Los médicos dudaron, pero accedieron a hacerle el escáner. Resultado, apéndice inflamado, al borde de la ruptura. Una bomba a punto de estallar. 6 horas después, despertó de la cirugía sin dolor por primera vez en días. Fue como renacer, nos dijo. ¿Y lo más irónico? No mencionó nunca a Grok. Dijo que su hermana enfermera le recomendó la prueba. Si digo que fue un robot, me toman por loco, confesó. La apendicitis es traicionera. Puede camuflarse como indigestión, dolor muscular o gases. Y cuando se rompe, causa peritonitis, una infección mortal. El sistema sanitario, saturado y agotado, falla más de lo que creemos. Hasta un 15% de las apendicitis se diagnostican mal. Turnos de 12 horas, protocolos rígidos, pasillos a rebosar, la tormenta perfecta. Ahí entra Grok. No duerme, no se cansa, no tiene prejuicios. Su entrenamiento masivo le permite detectar patrones que un humano, agotado, presionado, distraído, podría pasar por alto. Un cirujano nos comentó: la IA no viene a reemplazar médicos, viene a ser nuestro segundo cerebro. Y está funcionando. Usuarios reportan casos de Grok detectando alergias raras, recomendando pruebas para cáncer temprano, identificando infecciones ocultas. ¿Casualidad? No. Es el comienzo de la democratización de la salud. Visualiza esto. Un robot asistiendo en cirugías con precisión milimétrica. Grok triando pacientes en tiempo real desde el móvil. Diagnósticos preventivos antes incluso de que aparezcan los síntomas. Parece 2050, pero ya está ocurriendo. El debate no es si la IA reemplazará a los médicos. La pregunta real es: ¿qué médicos estarán dispuestos a trabajar con superpoderes y cuáles se quedarán atrás? Alex lo dijo sin dudar. Grok me dio una voz cuando el sistema me la quitó. Su historia explotó en redes. Miles de personas empezaron a consultar síntomas con IA antes de aceptar diagnósticos dudosos. Una revolución silenciosa que crece paciente a paciente. La medicina del futuro no será solo bisturíes ni batas blancas. Será software. Será datos. Será inteligencia. Y casos como el de Alex son el aviso. La verdadera segunda opinión ya no es otro doctor. Es una IA que no deja escapar nada. ¿Dejarías que Grok revisara tu próximo diagnóstico? Porque quizá, solo quizá, sea la diferencia entre un susto y una historia con final feliz. ¿Estamos ante la mayor revolución médica desde los antibióticos? Deja tu respuesta en comentarios y hagamos esta conversación viral. Si te ha resultado interesante este vídeo, considera compartirlo, darle a me gusta y suscribirte a nuestro canal. Tu Tu apoyo nos ayuda a crecer y crear contenido valioso para una comunidad apasionada por aprender.
No, si es aquí lo que tiene que traer el pistolón. Hombre, que sí, que si pones remedios caseros.
Yo no tengo.
Igual que dice que sí, ese hombre.
Ya no, ya no, yo paso como si mi burrito.
and sort of national level, you also have the EU on top of that. And to be totally frank, EU headquarters in Brussels is essentially a giant cathedral to bureaucracy. So if one wishes to visit the Grand Cathedral of Bureaucracy, visit EU headquarters in Brussels, I do think that Europe probably needs government efficiency more than the US does, and this needs to happen at the country level and at the EU level. And actually, I think the job is more difficult in Europe than it is in the US. I think overregulation has inhibited a tremendous amount of progress and innovation in Europe. I call it this sort of this slow strangulation by overregulation, because it's not like at any one moment you feel like this is it, but the noose around the neck just gets a little tighter every year, and eventually it's going to kill Europe. So there must be, in my opinion, immediate action to reduce regulation at the EU level, at the country level, and at the local level. Police
Police are looking for a man who ran away after robbing a store.
Crucial development, Bob.
Vicio, claro, es que vicio, la palabra vicio es algo...
As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. Because research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking.
Isn't it a crying shame when Elon Musk is the biggest defender of free speech and the biggest enemy of censorship in the entire world? And the powers that be in Europe and here in America, including the corporate media who should actually be defending him, have declared him public enemy number one. They're vilifying him. You want to know why? Because they can't control him. He's not beholden to them. He's untouchable. He's Elon Musk, and they can't stand that. They're not used to that. Personally, I think Elon Musk is a hero because of all of that.
Police are looking for a man who ran...
Europe actually has more bureaucracy than the US does because you don't just have the provincial and sort of national level, you also have the EU on top of that. And to be totally frank, EU headquarters in Brussels is essentially...
Well, I normally never have depression. I don't remember having depression in the last 20 years at least. But one of the reasons for that is I start doing things. I identify the problem, I can see a solution, and I start executing the strategy. If you are stuck in this loop of being worried about something, nothing's ever going to change. And people often make this mistake thinking, oh, I should just have some rest and then regain energy. This is not how it works. You gain energy by doing something. So you start doing something, then it happens. You feel motivated, you feel inspired, and then ultimately you do something else, a little bit more, and in a few years, who knows, you may end up achieving great things. Going to the gym is a good example. There are many days when you don't want to start working out, but you have to overcome this initial reluctance, and then you get to a point that you enjoy it, and you think, oh my God, it was such a good idea to come to the gym today.
Thank you very much for receiving me. And first of all, to those who scream and yell here so loud, they can be happy that they are in a free country like Finland, where the free speech is a right, where they have not any restrictions. If they would be in Moscow, they would be in jail in 2 minutes. Thank God we have a democracy. Thank God we have free speech. We can...
I think it's always good when thinking about something that you're afraid of. When thinking about fear, look fear straight in the eye, and it will disappear.
Okay. All right.
The nature of fear is that people don't look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it directly, and it will be gone.
There is likely a short-term political motive behind the attack on X. European leaders are deeply unpopular. Just 15% of the French and 25% of Germans approve of President Emmanuel Macron and Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Britain is not part of the EU, but it too is cracking down on free speech, with Prime Minister Keir Starmer's approval rating just 19%. Those leaders need an external foreign enemy to attack to distract attention from their own failures, rally their base, and appear strong. Elon Musk and Donald Trump serve that political purpose. But European leaders were pushing censorship long before their approval ratings tanked. And our investigations into the censorship industrial complexes in France and Germany reveal that those governments have pursued censorship for decades, which in part reflects lower cultural levels of support for free speech than in the United States. Much of the demand for censorship is around migration. In 2023, French regulators took steps to silence debate about immigration following a brutal attack in which a Syrian refugee stabbed several young children and parents on a playground in the city of Annecy, noted a report by the House Judiciary Committee in July of this year.
Life is
Joining us now, Public News founder Michael Schellenberger. Michael.
But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia.
Europe actually has more.
The Treasury Secretary has to pick up the red phone and call Beijing. He has to say, please do not sell our bonds. In fact,
she said the wonderful thing about central bank digital currency is inflation is no longer a problem. If you have inflation, you just freeze everybody's bank accounts. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so central bank digital currency. Central bank digital, the important thing to understand about central bank digital currency in an all digital financial system is it's not a currency, it's a control grid. Now, the process to implement central bank digital currency around the world.
So, but I do want to try to figure out something extraordinary just happened.
Well, Elon Musk has been great for American society so far, in that he's allowed uncensored news coverage, on X, for which he paid $44 billion. The company was valued at 22. So, even for a rich man, a $22 billion loss is a lot, and he did it, I think, because he thought the promise of America is free speech, and we didn't have it. So that right there is, a historic addition to the United States. Where do we go from here? Does he, get out over his skis, promise too much, attempt too much? Possible for all of us, but the United States was founded on, if there's one idea in the United States that's foundational, it's that the citizen has a right to say what he thinks. And we couldn't do that until he bought X, so God bless him.
I will never talk to a doctor about my general health ever again. If I break my arm, I'm gonna go see a doctor. If I need surgery, I'm gonna go see a doctor. My general health, never again. None of them know what they're talking about. They're all full of shit. All they know is to put you on pills and put you on medicine. That's all they know. None of these doctors know anything about human biology. Everything they've learned is about medicine. Right? Getting you on medication.
Yeah, man.
Oh, this feels weird? Take this medication. Oh, that doesn't feel right? Take this medication. Finally, you're on 3-4 different medications that have 10 different side effects and mess you up in 10 different ways. And that's what I was feeling. I'm on no medication now. I was on thyroid, I was on cholesterol, and I was on high blood pressure medicine. And now I'm on none of that. And my blood work has never been better. I've never felt better. And, I am not the same person I was a year and a half ago.
En un país al borde.
Don't date an emotionally intelligent person if you're not ready to hear the truth. You know why?
Because they're going to call you out not to hurt you, but to wake you up. They're going to see right through your excuses, your patterns, and those walls that you build to protect yourself. They're going to notice when you're being avoidant. They're going to notice when you're projecting your pain onto them. And you know what? They're going to hold you accountable, because to them, real love isn't about pretending that everything's okay. To them, it's about growth. Emotionally intelligent people do not play games. They don't do silent treatments or manipulation. They communicate even when it's uncomfortable. And if you're not ready for that level of honesty, it's definitely going to feel like confrontation when really it's connection. So don't date someone emotionally aware if you're still in love with your comfort zone.
¿Cómo surge la idea de voy a montar vicio?
Free speech is in a free fall in Europe. There are two anti-free speech movements that have coalesced. One is in Europe, where it has laid waste to free speech. Germany, France, England. Free speech has been eviscerated. And also places like Canada. The U.S. anti-free speech movement began in higher education, then metastasized throughout the government. But this has all reached our shores now. The Berlin World Forum followed the remarks of Vice President Vance on free speech, and the EU was red hot. They gathered in Berlin, and it was the most anti-free speech gathering I've ever been part of. There's only two of us from the free speech community. And they are committed. And, Hillary Clinton was there, and she really fueled the anger. I mean, when Twitter was purchased by Elon Musk, she called on the EU to use the infamous Digital Services Act, which is one of the most anti-free speech pieces of legislation in decades. And she called upon the EU to use the DSA to force the censorship of American citizens, force people like Musk to censor. It's an extraordinary act by someone who was once a presidential candidate in the United States. But they are committed to it. And after the World Forum, they further globalized this effort, and they are threatening companies like X with ruinous fines unless they resume censoring American citizens.